You can go ahead and tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So as Drew mentioned here, I went to Cal, got kicked out of Cal, and then now I teach at Cal. So it's a bit of a unique situation.
And you teach Bible, no less.
Yeah, I teach Bible. So I went there. I got kicked out. I tried to get back in. I got kicked out my junior year. Tried to get back in my senior year. They wouldn't let me back in, but now they let me teach there. So it's a weird situation.
Now, looking at it now, it's definitely weird to think about, you getting expelled for this, but you got kicked out of Cal for smoking weed, which is now approached differently nowadays.
Well, not just smoking weed, but the cultivation of marijuana.
You grew it too.
Yeah.
And by a stroke of luck too, what was it that you almost got in a lot more trouble than you did?
Yeah, so one of the big things that turned out well for us was we were all under 18, all of us that ended up getting arrested. So we were juniors. Most of us had just turned 17. So it'd been a year later, we'd be in more trouble. But even if you're under 18, you can still catch a felony. We didn't look into this at all because we were kind of screwing around and we weren't professional,
Well, what 17-year-old is looking into the
right
legalities of...
I had a friend that basically looked up how to grow weed on Google, and then we started it at his house, and we took it out into the woods, and we found out later that 5 plants is a felony in the state of Kentucky. We grew exactly 5 initially. Jeez. The day before we ended up getting arrested, one of them died, and we had pulled it out, got rid of it or whatever. It was gone. And so we ended up getting a misdemeanor, which led to not that much legal trouble. So the school found out, we got kicked out of the school, but we had to go to court, and we had community service and some counseling sessions we had to go to. But besides that, not a lot of legal issues, and we got to get it expunged off our record. So if I apply for a job or a school or whatever, I can say that I don't have any outstanding charges or anything like that. Do
you feel differently about your situation now with the way that we're looking at marijuana these days? There are businessmen now who are growing hemp for CBD oil and products like that, and now it's becoming this medically beneficial phenomenon where people are starting to praise it now. Do you feel differently now?
Yeah, it's a really complicated issue. Kind of what I was taught growing up is that weed, just as a blanket thing, is totally wrong, and it's just like alcohol, in the same way you shouldn't get drunk. Certainly as an underage, teenager, you also shouldn't get high. But marijuana is not exactly like alcohol, even the experience of using it, but also the different ways you can use it. So now, even within Kentucky, hemp and CBD oil being legal, that's not stuff that's connected to getting high. It's more of a...
It's like THC is the chemical compound.
Yeah, it's absent of THC. They are working on in Kentucky, and they passed it obviously in other areas of the country, medical marijuana, where you could use it as pain relief, or cancer patients that are going through chemo can use it to get their appetite back. And I think that there can be some good uses for it. But in my position, I wasn't thinking about all that. I was just trying to get high, and was way into that to an unhealthy level, as far as just escaping from reality. And it really removed me from my family, obviously removed me from any type of faith in God, and consumed my life in a very unhealthy way.
So it was almost as if the product itself wasn't the thing that was really wrong in the situation, but it was more so what you were trying to do that was wrong. You were looking for a rebellious outlet, almost.
Yeah, I don't think that weed... I think weed could be used in some good ways, but I was certainly not using it that way at all.
So it was the mentality behind it that really kind of put you on that path. But then, after the fact, you get kicked out of Cal. Where'd you go to high school after that?
I went to Collins in Shelby County. It was actually the first year it opened up. So
okay, yeah. But now you went on a path after that to return to Cal to be a spiritual leader.
Yeah. So what happened from there? Even before I went to Collins my senior year, we got kicked out. The end of junior year of high school, we had about a month left, and so in some ways Cal was gracious to us. Although they kicked us out, it was so close to the end of the school year that they let us finish up school through home, so we would take home assignments, go in and take our finals and stuff like that.
Okay.
And one of the biggest parts of my testimony actually came from a Bible class, which is I'm actually teaching the class that I was taking.
What's the specific Bible class you're teaching?
It was an apologetics class. We have a worldview apologetics class that I get to teach sometimes at the school. Nice. But it was a pretty simple assignment. We had to watch a video by this guy named Lee Strobel, who's very well known in mainstream Christian culture. But he was an atheist journalist in Chicago. His wife started getting into the Christian faith, going to church, and he went with her and basically started going and took it upon himself to just show how ridiculous it was. And so he's a journalist, and so he started researching, interviewing all these people. And to make a long story short, he eventually, instead of showing that the faith didn't make any sense, he became a Christian. And so we were watching his testimony, and then he interviewed this guy who's not really talked about a lot, but his name is Charles Templeton. And he used to do ministry with Billy Graham. In fact, he was kind of the Billy Graham before Billy Graham.
Oh, they were like partners.
Yeah, they went on like the crusades together, spoke to large audiences. But in the midst of his ministry, and this, is kind of another topic, but people can get caught up when you're in ministry, ministering to all these different people, not ministering to yourself, and becoming kind of hardened in your own faith. He basically decided that he didn't believe anymore, and what I think was an honest and the right thing for him to do. He's like, I don't believe this anymore, so I'm not going to do this ministry. He didn't want to be fake, and so I respect that. But he was kind of talking about some of the specific doubts that he had, just questions that he couldn't find good answers to that caused him to walk away. And so in the video that we had to watch for the class, they were talking through those questions, talking with him. Then they went to different scholars or professors who were giving answers. And they gave good answers, and I don't remember the exact answers they gave, but it really laid an impression on me. And what it did, hearing the video and then the combination of my life was kind of shut down, when you get kicked out of school, and I have strict parents, and I'm not able to hang out with my friend. I was all into smoking weed. That's all I cared about. Wasn't doing that anymore. I had to really evaluate, what am I doing with my life? And so through that video, I began to evaluate, like, man, do I really think that the Christian faith is true? Because if it is true, then I got to do something about it, right? I have to follow it fully instead of just kind of sitting in the middle like a lot of the crowd at Cal will do, or just in cultural Christianity. But if it's not true, then we just need to reject it. And so I really came to just a key moment in my life at that point, and I decided that based on the evidence that I had and my experiences, and I think definitely the Lord was reaching out to me, that I did believe it was true, and so I was going to follow it full-heartedly. So I had that experience about a month after I got kicked out, and it was kind of a battle at first, but really miraculously, the Lord took me from being a pothead to having no desire to smoke weed again. A couple of my friends that had gotten arrested with me, they got right back into it a few months later. And so from there, I went to high school and started thinking about what I wanted to do with my life, and really felt and had other people affirm a call to ministry. And so I ended up going to Boyce Bible College in town and doing a program there with Southern Seminary as well, getting my degrees, and then started working at a church, and then was looking for and got the opportunity to teach at Cal as an outlet of ministry.
What did you study at Southern?
I started